Calling all the bloodsuckers and fame fuckers. Today, we are experiencing something that is hopefully going to be a religious experience. Olivia Rodrigo's sophomore album, Guts. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Zach. I am the Swiftologist, and I make thoughtful weekly videos about pop culture. Usually you can find me talking about Taylor Swift or a more established main pop girl, perhaps Lana Del Rey. But today I am going to be giving a shot to who I think is the most promising Gen Z pop star that I have seen so far, Olivia Rodrigo. To me, she is the it girl of her generation. She has the charisma, she has the potential. I think she also has the ambition and the hunger and the keen interest in songwriting that I think some of the other acts around her, age caliber, age group lack. I think Olivia Rodrigo is a unique figure. And I also think that she is very much a student of the Taylor Swift School of Songwriting and Communication. And I did a whole video actually about a year ago called Why Olivia Rodrigo is like copying Taylor Swift or something like that, because I felt like Sour was kind of like a half-baked, rushed debut album. I think she was kind of pressured into releasing something after a string of 3 really insanely commercially successful singles, just kind of like unheard of and unprecedented for a brand new artist, with Good For You, Driver's License, and Deja Vu. So my main critique of that album was, again, that it felt like kind of a half-baked attempt at creating an era. And what I really like about Guts is that it seems like it's a continuation of Sour, not a complete departure, which totally makes sense to me given that I do feel the first record was a little bit half-baked. If you want to hear more about my thoughts on Olivia Rodrigo Taylor Swift comparison, this alleged feud that is happening between them, I will be releasing a video on that this Sunday. I wanted to wear something purple for this video, but purple is not my color, so I just went for like a general Gen Z inspired mesh top instead. So I hope that you enjoy that. If you like thoughtful conversations about pop culture, I must point you in the direction of my podcast, Evolution of a Snake. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/Swiftologist, where you can get Discord access to chat with a bunch of non-crazy pop music fans who, are unafraid to be critical, and they don't feel the need to absolutely ride and die for every single thing that their favorite person does. So if that sounds interesting to you, you can join for as low as $3 a month and listen to what I think to be the premier Taylor Swift podcast. Something that I said in my initial video about Olivia Rodrigo was that I would hope that she would kind of steer away from the Taylor Swift diaristic confessional songwriting style and lean into something a little bit heavier, a little bit edgier, something more Michelle Branch, Avril Lavigne, Evanescence, really bringing back that kind of Y2K pop punk, pop rock sound. I think she's uniquely positioned with the right kind of like stanky attitude at times to portray a really convincing revival of that. And that's really what I'm hoping for going into this record. And I mean, my expectations for a sophomore record from a debut artist that had such a meteoric rise to celebrity is kind of high, I have to say. The sophomore slump, the tradition of an artist's second album failing to live up to the caliber of their first, is a pretty well-trodden path, notably actually avoided by Lorde with Melodrama. Do I think this is going to be Olivia's Melodrama? Not really, because she's not that kind of songwriter. So what I'm hoping for is basically a higher success rate than Sour of songs that I think are, certified iconic genius songs. I think there were maybe 5 of those songs on Sour off the top of my head, probably Deja Vu, Good For You, Driver's License, Brutal, and maybe Traitor, depending on how I'm feeling that day, if I'm feeling generous. That's about a 45% success rate, or a hit rate, of the first record. So I'm going to be looking at what I want from this to be a 50% success rate. So I want at least half of this track list to be certified bangers. We were off to a good start with Vampire. I love that song. I think that it's so campy. I think it's very musical theater. I think it's very homeschool kid energy. And I mean that in actually a complimentary way. I don't think I would like to have this kind of homeschool energy from anyone other than Olivia Rodrigo. But Bad Idea, right, to me is a B- song. It's okay. It's good. It doesn't have a lot of replay value for me. I think that what Olivia is really good at is something that Taylor Swift is also really good at, which is like giving voice to the drudgeries and the pain and anguish of being a teenage girl. I think she's in a different space in her life now. She's also been contending with fame, and I think she has mentioned that the writing process for Guts was a lot more laborious than Sour. I've read a lot of interviews and done my homework on who's involved in this album. She's returning with the producer that worked with her for the majority of Sour, but she brought a lot of new songwriters into the fold. So I'm curious to see how she's developing her craft. In her interview, something that she mentioned a lot was she doesn't like to wait for inspiration to hit her. She really wants to develop writing as like a muscle and a practice and a craft. And the best writers view writing this way. If you waited for inspiration to strike, you would not be a very prolific a generator of content. And I think that Olivia also, you know, took a very like long pause away from the spotlight between these records, and she hasn't really given us an extensive promo campaign for this either, not a lot of performances. So my hopes are high that the music will really speak for itself, and the only way that we can figure that out is by jumping right in. But before we do that, you need to subscribe. Over half of you that watch my videos regularly on a consistent basis are not subscribed, and it really helps me when you subscribe, so why haven't you yet? I'm waiting. All right, I'm ready. The first song is called All American Bitch. I'm very excited for this one. I just think that it's going to give brutal energy, and that's exactly how I would like this album to begin. I want it to bang, I want it to clang, I want it to thrash. And it's 2 minutes and 45 seconds, which I'm side-eyeing because I don't like all of these short songs, but she is a Gen Z TikTok girly after all.
I pay attention to things that most people ignore.
Cute, very songwriterly.
I'm alright with the movies that make jokes about senseless cruelty, that's for sure.
I love this guitar lick.
I am built like a mother in a total machine. I feel for your
This is very Fiona Apple to me.
I make light of the darkness. I've got sun in my motherfucking pocket.
Love.
Yeah, you know me.
Yes. Oh, I know my age and I act like it. Brilliant. Beautiful. I love the bait and switch. This is kind of giving American Beauty the movie, aesthetically. I love that one. Yes, you are, queen. Oh my god, Courtney Love! I love this. Brilliant. I hear Hole all over this. Oh, the way she oscillates between that airy falsetto and that guttural scream. So true. Oh, what a way to open a record. I am blown away by that. I really, really enjoyed that. I feel like this is actually a very complicated song because I think that it is addressing a very kind of wholesome image. Let's not forget that Olivia does have that Disney Channel heritage where she has been kind of expected and instructed to behave in very specific ways. The Disney PR machine is not very forgiving. And I think that the ultimate like view of her as a young artist when she came out with Sour was that she was just a teenage girl singing about her feelings, and oh, isn't that cute? And oh, isn't she angry? This to me is kind of, you know, presenting her rage as rage, not just like a teenage tantrum or a little strop that she's throwing or some nonsense that she's just putting on. I think having to contend and deal with all the pressures of being America's sweetheart is a very interesting topic to unpack. And I think we don't often get a lot of in real time processing of that. I'm thinking with Taylor and with Britney Spears, like people who have been the all-American girl before usually don't reflect on being so until much further away from it, you know, for the sake of protecting the brand or protecting the image. And I think what's interesting about Olivia is that she's breaking the fourth wall a little bit. And to start the record with something like this, I mean, she's got guts. Okay, so up next is Bad Idea, Right? Which is not my favorite song, but we're just gonna rock out to it for a couple of minutes. Okay, great. I'm still giving that a B-, so that doesn't contribute to the overall hit counter on this record for me. Let's go into Vampire. I'm always ready to listen to Vampire again.
Girls your age know better. I sucker, fame fucker, bleeding me dry like a goddamn vampire.
Now we're gonna get into another new track that I have never heard before. This one's called Lacey. I have no expectations from this, but it is also a very short song, so let's see. Lots of live guitar on this record.
Lacy, oh Lacy, skin like puff pastry. Aren't you the sweetest thing on this side of hell?
On this side of hell. Okay. Beelzebub.
Eyes white as daisies. Ooh, I care, like perfume that you wear.
Beautiful lyrics. Ooh, this is haunting. Is Lacey like a euphemism?
Sexy Lacey, I'm losing it lately. You got the one thing that I want.
Okay, maybe this is a person that is dating someone she would like to date.
Like you're made of
Angel Dust, not drugs on an Olivia Rodrigo album. Already the production on this record is so much more interesting than the musical arrangements on Sour. I really appreciate how versatile of a vocalist she is too. It's interesting to listen to. See, listen to her volume control, that breathiness, the dynamic. I despise my rotten mind and how much it worships you. God, if I have never heard a sentence that summed up my early 20s and the agony of falling in love seriously for the first time and not knowing what to do about it or handle it. Very interesting. I am wondering, is there like a bisexual element to this? I don't like to project or speculate about people's sexuality in public, but there is something there with regards to that. Very interesting arrangement and production, haunting vocal delivery. Am I going to replay that a lot? I'm not sure. It's not really the kind of thing that I would like bump up all the time, but it's certainly, I think it's better than Bad Idea Right. To me, Bad Idea Right is kind of like so far the weakest song on the album. So, I mean, it's very, the subject matter is darker and more interesting, and I'm really starting to understand why she called this record Guts, because she's going there. She's really going there. This is not necessarily a brand safe performance from a young artist with a lot of young fans. So I commend her for her honesty and her candor, and I'm deeply curious about the rest of this record. Next up, we have the second longest song so far after Vampire, and this is Ballad of a Homeschooled Girl. I can only imagine that this is ridiculous. Her liability, if you will. Okay. Different vibe to what I was expecting. Ooh, okay. Doll parts? I love this. This is more sour like. Okay, it bangs. Why lie? This is very all-American bitch to me. She is the people's princess. Oh, lol. Such a Gen Z problem. I'm very endeared by this. This is very clever and very funny. I think her tour is going to be a lot of fun. That distorted guitar in the background. Made it weird and made it worse. Wow. Too real. Oh, couldn't think of a third line. Okay. I love this DIY element coming in at the end. Again, more breaking of the fourth wall, that distorted guitar. I can't think of a third line. La 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 la. I am more and more impressed by her ability to be kind of a communicator of her generation. So Ballad of a Homeschooled Girl, this is very American to me. It's very like canonically American. And what's interesting about it is that I think like what she's describing here, this like wanting to crawl out of your skin and like being so uncomfortable in who you are and feeling like you're saying the wrong thing and doing the wrong thing and not being, you know, the perfect party guest or embarrassing yourself or embarrassing others or going after guys that are not available to you. These are all very like normal teenage experiences that are important to document and get down so that, you know, other teens realize they feel the same way. Every generation, I think, has their own iteration of this kind of song, and Olivia has found that trope and effectively reinterpreted it for the Gen Z era. The idea of like going after guys who are gay and, you know, just feeling so awkward and out of place. I suspect that, you know, the idea of being a homeschooled person who is like sheltered and kept away from mainstream society and then doesn't really know how to cope when they're thrown into a social situation, that feeling I think will resonate with so many kids her age and younger who, you know, had their like schooling experiences, their social rites of passages taken away from them with the, you know, global health crisis that happened. I don't want to say the name in case YouTube does something to me, but that is an interesting kind of vibe check, a temperature check of the Gen Z room. And I think it's brilliant. I think it's genius. Congratulations. Up next is Making the Bed. And I think in the interviews that I read, she has talked about the song quite a lot. This might be about fame, a little more meta. I'm not sure, but I'm curious. Birds chirping. Okay, we're scene setting.
So I got it, did it so it's done. Another day pretending, older than I am.
This is kind of the trader driver's license girl that I'm hearing. She's been absent so far, but she's here.
But sometimes I feel like I don't wanna be where I am, getting drunk at a club with my fair friends, pushing away.
And how old are you, Miss Girl? Old enough to be at a club getting drunk? I think not. This is kind of giving anti-hero in terms of the, did you hear my covert narcissism, etc. This is more interesting because it's a little more honest. This is like unflinchingly honest. Okay, interesting. So this explosion of fame was difficult for her to handle.
Some tourist attraction, changing my machine. Got the things I wanted, it's just not what I imagined.
Oh, great. This is beautiful. I'm very surprised. Tired of being the girl that I am. She's really hard on herself, huh? It's not a poor me song. It's a real inviting you in to get a glimpse of what's going on in there. That's a privilege. That's sad. You're in awe of the beautiful things I regret. Interesting. Yeah, she's talked about how the Sour rollout was quite stressful for her in many different respects. There's a lot to unpack on this record, in this song. Her relationship to fame has been a lot more troubled than I think anybody anticipated it to be. She mentioned that when she signed with her label, they didn't really expect her to be the next big thing. They were kind of like signing on an artist to mentor, and no one thought that Driver's License was going to blow up the way that it did. So I think, you know, the album being rushed, the tour being rushed, just thrusting her into a level of limelight that is not only unexpected, but also like hardly reached by people who work at this for years and years and years. The virality element kind of accelerating it all, I think sounds like it has led to a bit of an identity crisis. I mean, she says that she got everything she wanted, but it wasn't what she imagined. And you know, what you want when you're 16 and 17 is very different to what you want when you're even 18, 19, 20. Like when you're young, your feelings are just so capricious and they change all the time. And what you want, you don't know what you want. And I think that's kind of what she's saying here. And I found that very moving and interesting. Another hit. Up next is Logical.
I fell for you like water falls from the February sky, but now
Okay.
the current's stronger. No, I couldn't get out if I tried, but you convinced me, baby. Rain don't pour and sun don't shine, and changing you is possible.
Interesting. Okay, she's learning that lesson that you can't change someone. Okay, this song to me is not a hit. There is a very elaborate attempt to explain a very simple concept in this song with not very original metaphor or writing. So this is very Sour to me, but the saggier parts of Sour. Come on, give me a crescendo. Snooze. I don't need to listen to the rest of this to know how it ends. that was a snooze to me. There was potential there to bring it back, to make it something more like Ballad of a Homeschool Girl. But I mean, you know, everybody loves a soppy ballad. Her fans seem to really love her plainly written, not very original, generic ballads about love. So, you know, there's one for the diehards. There you go. You got it. Up next is Get Him Back! Exclamation point. This better be good. I think it's gonna be, but it better be.
I met a guy in the summer and I left him in the spring.
Yes.
He argued with me about everything.
Give me that attitude, that sass.
He said he's 6'2" and I'm like, dude, nice try.
Oh my god, Kesha vibes. Oh my god, get away from this man. Oh. Ooh, red flag. Oh, great. Oh, I see. Oh, it's get him back, not return him to me. Oh, so true. I want sweet revenge, but I also want him again. Oh. She's got bars. Okay, Onika. Olivanika. Ooh. You can't, girl. This is very catchy. I predict this being a hit. TikTok hit for sure. I'm also getting the Gwen Stefani, No Doubt, influence on this. That hollering, kind of like childlike chanting. So true, queen. Like, moral of the story, be obsessed with me, but suffer for it. She's so charismatic. I want to kiss his face with an uppercut. Excellent line. Excellent. Album highlight for sure. This is the future of pop rock girlies. Very fun. Very fun. What a catchy song. Who can't relate to this feeling of being like catastrophically obsessed with someone, but also needing them to suffer for not being as obsessed with you as you are with them? This is a very Scorpio vibe, a Scorpio song, which I understand as a Scorpio myself. But I love that. That's definitely an album standout and a highlight to me. It has that same kind of magic that made Good For You really, really resonant. So I need a video for this ASAP. ASAP. What I'm getting from this record overall, though, is that, you know, the fallout from being America's sweetheart is really not a very pleasant thing to deal with and can be a little dehumanizing. So what do you do in those scenarios where you feel so abstracted, disconnected from people around you? You date people you shouldn't date to take your mind off of it. And that's the other half of this record. Love is Embarrassing up next. I'm hoping that this one is a banger too. And she's so right, love is embarrassing. Yes, I love the upbeat numbers.
I told my friends you were the one after I'd known you like a month.
Been there.
Been there. From high school.
Oh, asshole.
And now it don't mean
Oh. Amazing. Love fucking embarrassing. Oh. Yes. She has it, you guys. She has just got it. Deja vu vibes. She's such a funny writer too. crime is this song only being 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Oh, second string loser who's not worth mentioning. Yes, Queen. Damn, that was fucking good. Okay. Her voice is so full of life and personality and character. It's not even really about the way she sings. It's the way that she articulates what she says and how she knows when to pull back and when to give in and when to scream and when to whisper and when to talk and when to sing. This is great work. I'm very, very pleasantly surprised so far. We only have 2 songs left. Oh, I can respect a queen who keeps an album short to keep the quality high. I really can, actually. I prefer it that way, to be honest. But up next is Pretty Isn't Pretty. And I feel like this is going to be dark. This is going to be about her, I don't know, insecurities, her anxieties about not being pretty enough.
Trying to cover up my face.
Why would she do that, gorgeous queen? No.
Stopped eating cake on birthday.
Olivia.
Bought a new prescription. There's always something in the mirror that I think looks wrong.
Oh. I like this a lot. I think this is going to resonate with a lot of young girls. Ooh, this is going to be anthemic for young girls. I think a lot of people really need to hear this now.
You can win the battle. Try to ignore it. It's everything I see. It's on the poster on the wall. It's in the shitty magazines. It's in my phone. It's in my head. It's in the boys I bring to bed.
Yes.
It's all the time.
Wow. Voice of her generation, I'm not kidding. She gets it. She's communicating the vibe back to you. She understands you. She's relatable. So good. So, I think, timely and an important timeless message too. She's taken that worn path of, these beauty standards are impossible to keep up with. We hear this in Who Says by Selena Gomez. We hear this in Unpretty by TLC. We hear this in Ugly by the Sugar Babes if we want to go a UK route of the pop music genre. I am very impressed by how she is able to be a cultural commentator. And this is something, not to compare Taylor and Olivia. This is actually setting them apart, not comparing them. But something that Olivia is focused on that Taylor has never really quite dipped her toe into, because Taylor's songwriting is more inward. Taylor is more observing herself and her machinations and her psychology, which is what makes you feel so close to her. Olivia also makes you feel close to her, but more in a reaching her hand out and being like, I understand how you feel living in this world that we live in. Whereas Taylor is more like, I understand how you feel dating a guy who's no good, or in this very specific circumstance or situation. I think Olivia is, as a writer, very observant about the world around her, and she's focused on communicating the way that she sees that to her audience. And I think this song is a very good example of that. And now we're going in for the track that closes the record, Teenage Dream. Why do I have a feeling this is not going to sound like Katy Perry's Teenage Dream? This album is very dark. This album is very dark. Let's see if it ends on a dark note too. I don't wish to end on a ballad, but if we must. At least these chords are interesting.
When am I gonna stop being great for my age and just start being good?
Oh.
Got your whole life ahead of you. You're only 19, but I fear that they already got all the best parts of me.
Is this like...
And I'm sorry that
this is her Nothing New.
Always be your teenage dream.
Oh, interesting. And this circles all the way back to All American Bitch, which is a funnier satire version of this song.
But I fear that they already got all the best parts of me.
That's a really sad line. Not true, obviously, because this album is leaps and bounds better than Sour. And there's so much more to come, I can tell. This is a very anxious, nervous album. That's what we needed. That was a very compelling song, very interesting. It's sad to hear the nothing new perspective from someone actually in real time. Taylor definitely kept those anxieties from us. And that's also another difference that I note between them. Taylor is more image conscious. She wants to project an aura of control and power and understanding. She doesn't like to work things out publicly. She does it privately and reports back when she feels okay again. Olivia is letting it all hang out. She's working it out on the page, and we're sitting over her shoulder and watching her kind of like try and break through these new thoughts, experiences, and feelings that she's having. And what a privilege it was to sit here and listen to her do that. I am bowled over by how good this record is. It is so much better than Sour, leaps and bounds better than Sour, and it has a much higher hit rate, which I'll calculate in a second, but this is an extremely promising record. I think she has great taste. It was a smart idea to make this a short album. It was also a smart idea to keep the best parts of the album for the day of the release and not to give everything away at once, to force people to be patient and not to feed that kind of churn of the content machine. And I'm very compelled by this record, excited to see where she goes next. She has successfully avoided the sophomore slump, and 3 cheers for Olivia. 3 cheers for Olivia. I think my favorites off of the first listen are definitely All American Bitch and Get Him Back is amazing. Love is Embarrassing I also really like, and Pretty Isn't Pretty is really good. Ballad of a Homeschool Girl is fun too. So let's calculate how many of these I thought were hits. So we have All American Bitch, hit. Vampire, hit. Lacey and Bad Idea Right, not hits to me. Ballad of a Homeschool Girl, hit. Making the Bed, hit. Logical, not a hit. Get Him Back, hit for me. Love is Embarrassing, also a hit for me. The Grudge, did I listen to that? I can't remember what that sounds like. Wait.
Little fucking sorry, and I try to understand why you would do this all to me.
Okay, I think I actually might have skipped The Grudge, but I just skimmed through it and I can tell that it is not something that I want to listen to. So that's not a hit to me. Pretty Isn't Pretty is a hit too. And Teenage Dream, I don't know that it's a hit. It's good, but it's not a hit. So that brings us to a total of 7 songs. So did it beat that 45% record of Sour? Yes, the hell it did. That's a 58% slam dunk record on Guts. So I'm very pleased. I'm very happy. What do you guys think of this new Olivia Rodrigo album? Keep it cute in the comments or I will be deleting them. I don't play around here. If you're going to be awful or rude or make unnecessary rude comparisons, you can go. This is a place for thoughtful, critical, engaging, analytical discussions about pop culture. And if you like Olivia Rodrigo and you like Taylor Swift, you have to subscribe to my channel because on Sunday I will be coming out with a full breakdown of this alleged feud and rift. And let me just say, after listening to this record, I have stuff to add to the script that I've written for that video. So I'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in and I'll catch you around.